This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, and you're listening to Python's Paradise, your film and music show. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And you know, folks, I have a wonderful guest on the phone with me. I'm so honored to interview this person. She is in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I would have been 2 years old when that was released in 1974. But boy, I've seen it many times, and not too long ago on that wonderful Blu-ray release. And I have the meat hook victim on the phone with me, the woman who played Pam, the wonderful, talented, and lovely Teri McMinn. How you do, Teri?
Hi, Greg. Great. Thank you so much for asking me to do this interview.
Well, I'm honored. Before we get to the film, are you familiar with where I am here in New Brunswick?
You know what? I don't know New Brunswick specifically, but I did get to do a show with Marilyn and Gunner, Leatherface and Sally, in 2013 in Niagara Falls.
Okay.
So we did Comic-Con, and they were just so nice to us, and we really had a wonderful time. It was beautiful. Marilyn and I actually went to the falls together and rode the boat.
You mean Gunner didn't chase you guys with a chainsaw under the falls?
He did not. He did not. He did not go with us. We did all go to a winery together, though, and that was a lot of fun. But they wined and dined us, had a party for us, the first night. It was just really so much fun, and I just loved all the people. I'm still friendly with them all on Facebook, and so it was great. So yeah, I'm sort of familiar, and I know you're going to send me a link to your show.
I am. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I am. I haven't done that yet, have I?
No.
Oh,
No,
I am sorry.
Okay.
I have been so busy.
Well, I'll plug it on Pam's page on Facebook too.
Okay.
Maybe that'll be good too. I'm pretty good at doing PR for people.
Oh, perfect. Well, this will be airing out. I think it's going to September now, but I think it's going to air out in November because I've got like 7 interviews that haven't aired yet, and I'm only on once a week. Like this is recorded on my live show was once a week. I volunteer here.
Fine. I'm just going to put your link up.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that, but when the interview comes, I can put that up too. But at any rate, no problem.
Well, when the interview too, it'll be on the station website for a limited time, and then eventually I'm going to upload it onto my YouTube account. Yeah, I just
okay.
And do I have your permission, to put headshots of you on to go along with the audio?
Sure, I'll send you some. How about that?
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send. I mean, I literally, I'm once I got on Facebook after I came out in 2008. Facebook was kind of new to everyone, and in fact, everybody was at that time still doing MySpace.
That's true.
And then that soon was, Facebook soon took over, and I was so overwhelmed by all the fans. And so I started, posting pictures. I was going to a lot of conventions at that time. And so I have a lot of, I finally, in 2013, I made Pam get her own page because people were, posting headless torsos and all kinds of weird things, and I tend to post beauty and fun and animals and, that kind of stuff. And so I thought, well, Pam can just get her own page.
let Pam deal with it, huh?
Yeah, so I put page guidelines. People try to tag me, and they send me Like one guy, I'll give you just a perfect example of, overdoing it. He sent 40 he posted 40 individual drawings that he had done. And they were all in pictures, and they were all of like raw meat and, just the most grotesque things to ever see.
Are you
More
kidding?
grotesque even than Chainsaw, because Chainsaw shows very little, the one I did,
Yeah.
So finally I just said, okay, that's it. I can't do any more. And I told people if they want to put more than 3 pictures up, they have to make an album.
Wow.
And then I stopped letting people tag me unless I reviewed it, so.
Good plan,
So,
yeah.
You have to get hardcore, Greg.
That's right.
When you turn on meat hooks, that's the way it goes.
That is it. Do you when you attend these conventions, what's the most interesting thing or oddest thing you've ever had to sign?
Oh, well, a guy's his side, he had me on the meat hook with Leatherface.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Another guy had me a great tattoo on his leg. It was really, really, really good. But I guess that was one of the most surprising things were seeing me tattooed on people's body. Because you have to remember, I didn't even admit I was Pam for 35 years.
Oh.
Right? So Bill Vale, who played Kirk, my boyfriend in the film, husband, he and I came out together for Monster Mania in 2008. So that was, it was quite an experience. I mean, I signed for 3 days and I could not believe it. I had lines. Leatherface was actually jealous because I had such a line.
Oh, wow.
Pam was really popular, and people, they were like angry because I hadn't come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were, yeah. How come she won't come out? Why won't she come and meet us?
Well, you had to wait for that perfect opportunity.
Yeah, it was the perfect time in my life. I mean, I ran businesses and had lots of other interests, So, but when I came out, it was the perfect time for me, and it's just been a lot of fun. I can't tell you that, I had any clue, even though the others had been out all along, except for Bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you, of course, were involved in, I gotta say, what an eerie but well-constructed scene where, first, of course, Kirk enters the house and, of course, stumbles up that ranch, and he gets a splitting headache.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, you're out there on that swing, and you decide, you're gonna, find him, and you go in through those curtains and into that room, and you topple on the floor, and there's bones everywhere, and the music is just like the silence, but yet the sound effect that are just deafening, and you got all those bones arranged, and it's just like such a creepy moment. It's like, how do you get out of there? Like you're drenched in cold water. You want to move, but you're kind of standing still, and then of course you try to get out of there, and of course Leatherface grabs you and hauls you inside there and puts you on that meat hook. Now I got to ask about that scene in the room. Like, how long did it take them to set that up with all those bones and whatnot, especially that little shrine thing?
Yeah, well, Bob worked furiously on that for weeks, getting it all set up, and for months collecting different things. So he just did a fantastic job with all of that. And then the chicken in the cage was very troubling to me. I just can't stand that. And the poor chicken, that was the worst part for me.
Okay, yeah.
Well, not really. That wasn't the worst part. The worst part was fighting a 350-pound man for, a full day and screaming at the top of my lungs. And Toby, since it was film, there was no digital playback or anything like that. He didn't really know what he had, and so he just kept, like, we would do maybe 40 takes from one angle, and then he'd have another angle, and he'd do 40, so we really worked hard, and it was extremely hot, so we put our all into it. But, they ran out of money after the first 2 weeks.
Oh.
So they signed us to contracts for future, deferred payments.
Okay.
So that turned out to be a big joke. And but anyway, filming, Gunnar and I got on really well, and he had been my boyfriend's roommate, and we actually hated one another because he used to always get my boyfriend George to go out for drinks and leave me at home, So he and I, there was no love lost between Gunnar and I. This is the year before the Chainsaw, and so neither of us had any idea the other one had been cast. And the first day I walked into the RV where they, they had an office. I don't even think it was air conditioned. And, it was like 95 degrees, blistering sun. And Kim Hinkle, the writer, producer, said, "Teri, come here. I'd like you to meet Leatherface." And he had us, he was sitting in one of those, banquette things.
Okay.
Table. And his back was to me. I just had this huge back. And I got level to him. And he turned to me, and we were like inches from one another, and we both blurted out, "What are you doing here?" So anyway, we were professional. We went to have coffee, and we got over it,
Yeah, I got to say, he's Gunnar Hansen's very, very strong. Like, he grabs you and just picks you up. Like,
yeah.
was
over and over and over. I was doing a play at night with a guy from the Big Valley, Peter Breck.
Okay.
And Peter Breck, well, you'd know it if you were born at that time, but you weren't. And anyway, it was like one of the top television series, like Bonanza, the Big Valley. It had starred Barbara Stanwyck, who was a huge star from the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
And so Peter Breck was in town, and I was Lizzie in The Rainmaker, very famous film that Katharine Hepburn did with Burt Lancaster.
Okay.
And Lizzie's just a fabulous part for a woman. It's a beautiful play. I was on stage for 3 hours every night, filmed all day. And anyway, after we finished filming all day, from morning until the evening, I could not even walk. I couldn't speak. They were giving me Jack Daniels to drink
Okay.
at the end of the day because I couldn't scream. And, to make it realistic as an actor, you want it to be, it was grueling. And that's being nice.
Tell me about the meat hook scene. How did they go about that? Because that was a major famous image from the film.
Yeah, that was, the day before we were going to shoot it, they still weren't sure how they were going to do it. And I had such a tiny costume, and it was backless. So Dottie Pearl, who was the cinematographer's wife at that time, Dottie and Daniel Pearl, they've since been divorced, and Daniel's been married to someone else for 30 years. So,
Yeah.
But at any rate, Dottie and Bob Burns, the set designer, came up with some parachute strapping, foam, and a pair of women's stockings that they put under my bathing suit. They pinned it under the bathing suit. And so it was sort of like a chastity belt because I was suspended from that parachute strapping, which is very strong. And she had a piece that had a steel ring on it, like a parachute ring.
Okay.
And so that was on a piece that they tucked into my shorts. And then when they do the drop onto the meat hook, Toby spotted me, the director spotted me, and then Gunnar held me up, and they just wanted to make sure that it went on to the hook went onto the ring and not into my back.
Oh, yeah.
So, but Toby had asked me the day before, he said, Terry, have you thought about what you do in the meat hook scene, I said, well, what I thought is that, gosh, if it didn't go into some strategic place, that she would get off the meat hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, let's try that. Let's go with that. So that's what we went with. And it seemed to work out very well.
Yes, very, very effective.
Yeah, but that actually, we only shot that from about, say 10 in the morning till around noon. By lunch, it was sort of strange because, they'd had a lot of difficulties, technical difficulties, running out of money difficulties, just lots of, things. And so, who knew? You're just doing this little film for no money, and it's about meat hooks, long before meat hooks were ever a subject of discussion. It was a strange film. And so we didn't really know what we had at all, But I have to say, once we finished the meat hook scene and I was hanging there, I looked out and there were like 17, 20 people, the crew and the girl that brought our lunch every day, Ted Nikolau's wife, Sally Nicolau, and their 3-year-old daughter. And everyone was standing there sort of quiet with their mouths open. So they just really were moved by the scene. They were completely blown away. So we kind of all knew at that point that, hey, maybe there is something here.
And then, of course, you ended up in the freezer.
Right. A freezer that was broken. And they forgot to buy dry ice the day that we were going to film it. So I had a Coke bottle stuck between my legs inside the freezer that Toby would have me puff on a cigarette to get it smoky.
Okay.
And he'd yell, okay, Terry, is it smoky in there? And I'd go, yeah. He'd say, okay, get ready, put the cigarette out. Action.
And you were just like laying there for a moment, and then you just kind of spark briefly to light. Oh, yeah.
And I just thought, I said, oh, Toby, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. I thought it was just not a good thing. And it turns out that's the scene where everybody comes out of their seats.
Yes. Wow.
Well, he had a whole vision. I mean, a lot of the script we changed as we went along. There was a lot of things that changed as we went along. We ad-libbed quite a bit. And I'd say, well, why don't I say this? Or somebody would say, well, I'll say this. And, So
Yes.
it kind of formed itself as we went.
Yes, unfortunately, we just lost Gunnar Hansen.
Yes.
I heard it that he was a very, very nice man. I never got the chance to talk to him, but any last reflections on him?
Yes, Gunnar was, he loved being Leatherface. He made a career of it, and he used to come to my flower shop in Austin. I worked out of my home, but half of my home was my flower shop. And he would be going to the conventions, and so he'd come over and bring a stack of pictures for me to sign, and he'd pay me $5 a picture, and then he'd go sell them for 15.
Well, he got to battle Dennis Hopper in the sequel.
Yeah, he did. So, but he loved being Leatherface, and he was quite professional about it, you know. And he had a wonderful agent that he became very good friends with, and you know, so he did quite well.
Yes, and we also, unfortunately, and I remember when this happened, I was very saddened to hear about the passing of Marilyn Burns.
Yes, well, from the day that I came out in New Jersey, Marilyn came by the table and she said, "Hey, you want to go out?" And you know, so she came up to my room and we had a glass of wine, and from that moment on, we were friends. You know, we hadn't seen each other in 30 years. You know, but she and I became extremely close. We talked on the phone all the time. Every time we'd be going to the conventions, we couldn't wait to see each other. We'd have dinner together, or we did everything together. And so it was terribly shocking. Her health had not been good for years, but it was just really, 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 really hard when I lost Marilyn. So, yeah, it was 2 years this last August. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, you talk about a screamer. Boy, her lungs got to work out.
Right, and you talk about one of the nicest people that you'd ever meet. Marilyn was just one of the sweetest, kindest, most gracious. I mean, fans adore her, and I'm sure I got over 2,000 messages, notifications, everything when she passed on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it was really hard because, you know, to a lot of people she was, you know, some star or something, and to those of us who were very close friends with her, she was such a, you know, wonderful friend. But fans love her. People, you know, adore her. She treated people so beautifully. So it was a big loss for us. And then Gunnar following the following year.
Yep.
So when promoters are, you know, wondering if they should have the rest of us in, let's say, yeah, get us while we're here, you know.
And she really got a workout. The running, the screaming. I know there was one point they had her bound and gagged there in the chair, and with the old grandpa there with the hammer. Yeah.
Yes. Well, she deserves every bit of credit. She was wonderful in the film, and you know, she just did a wonderful job. Really, it was a good cast. I mean, I think I think they lucked out. They got a really good local cast of unknowns, you know, and we poured our hearts and souls into it. You know, we stuck in there with them through the whole thing.
Yeah. Any memories of course, this guy's still with us, but what an interesting performance. Edwin Neill as the Hitch-Hiker.
Oh, yeah. Have you interviewed him?
I can't find any contact information for him.
Well, he's one of my friends, so once you're on Facebook, you can, you know, possibly message him there. Anyway, yeah, those were the Hitch-Hiker. The character was just crazy. So I actually wrote, people always wondered what had happened to Pam. And since the last time you see her, when she pops out of the freezer, you know, everybody was like, I just always wondered what happened to her. And from the moment I came out and everybody was saying that to me, I finally thought, well, yeah. So I wrote, Pam lives. And I wrote 3 stories, and I've already sold 50 copies of them. So,
oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, oh, got great reviews. Fans love them. They're in my notes on Pam's page. You can read them for free.
Oh,
But I
wow.
offer a couple of 5x7s with the stories, and I sign all three of the pictures.
Okay.
So it's kind of a good piece of memorabilia, and the stories are very compelling. Very, very compelling. People love them.
Oh, well, I'm gonna have to check those out.
Yeah, yeah, you'll have to look. Just look when I send you the links. They're in both on my personal page and on Pam's page in the notes. So, so you can read them. But they're not terribly, terribly long. It'd probably take you 40 minutes to read all of them. But
Okay.
it gives you a lot of background, and nobody really knows it. But Franklin, they say that he's her brother, but he's actually her cousin.
Okay.
Her, it's a. I'll explain it in the next story. But
Yeah.
the two brothers, Sally's father and Franklin's father, they actually dated the same woman. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of dirt on the family history.
Oh, there you go.
There
Speak
you go.
and speaking of Franklin, Paul A. Partain is no longer with us either.
No, Paul passed away. Oh gosh,
I
it
looked
was
it up. It was
10 years.
2005.
Oh, was it 5?
Yeah, I looked it up on Wikipedia before I got you on the phone. I was looking up all the cast and seeing who was still with us, and
No, I thought it was long before that.
no, I think it was 2005. I mean,
It was
don't.
Bob Burns. Are you sure that wasn't? Huh. Well, you may be right. Maybe I'm getting old here, Greg.
I love that scene where he's sitting in the wheelchair and he's so angry and he starts doing the spitting and the noises with his tongue. Was that ad libbed?
Um, he was downstairs when that was going on. You're right. January 28th, 2005. You're so right.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of it was ad-libbed. I'm sure that, I'm sure that they all kind of had some input into that. But anyway, Paul was a sweetheart of a guy, but he stayed in that character the whole time we were filming.
Oh, kind of like a Daniel Day-Lewis thing, huh?
I guess so. Anyway, he wasn't that pleasant, He wasn't the pleasant person that he was in real life, but
No.
he took his job very seriously.
Oh, he did a good job, but boy, what a scare scene, that final scene he was in, just out of nowhere with Leatherface.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I was actually finished filming by that point, so they did that. They did those scenes, after they'd gotten us out of the way. So that was, I think they filmed another couple of weeks. I mean, we were still obligated if they needed something, and they did. So, but anyway, yeah, Paul did a great job too. And
Yeah.
Jim Seedow is one of my favorite characters.
Oh
in it.
yeah, the prospector Jim Cito. Yeah, I heard a story that I read this somewhere when he had Marilyn Burns tied up in the truck and he was jabbing her with that broom. I heard that he was very he didn't want to hurt her and he always felt very apologetic.
Well, I'm sure he did. I mean, she went through a lot of, a lot of it was sort of just over the top. And unfortunately for her, that's the way it was. And but they gave their all. What can I tell you? But Marilyn was also one of the producers. She had a friend who put some money into that, and they had several scripts, and so she and Toby had known each other at UT, and Daniel and Toby had known each other, so they sort of started they found Toby and Tim, and that's how it all happened. It just kind of, that was the story they chose.
And poor Jim, he ended up with that chainsaw going up his hindquarters there in the sequel.
Oh gosh, I didn't even know that. I forgot.
I haven't seen the sequel in a while, but I remember that he survived, but at the same token, he didn't get away the way he did in the original.
Oh yeah, well they were lucky to get Jim. He was fantastic. He's just really, I think he's one of the best parts of the film.
Oh, he was great in it,
Mm-hmm.
and of course John Dugan played Grandpa.
Yes. And John and I are going to be at MonsterCon together in San Antonio later this month on the 24th of September.
Okay.
So we're going to be there. And then I think, let's see, I think maybe Bill Johnson and our truck driver might be there, Ed. And also the other stand-in for Leatherface. I know Bob Elmore, really sweetheart. And Bill Johnson, very sweet man. He played Leatherface.
And which truck driver? You had a couple there at the end.
Our truck driver is named Ed Gein, and weirdly same last name as
yeah, the famous
Ed
killer.
Gwynn. I'm sorry, it's Ed Gwynn.
Oh, Ed
Very
Gwynn.
much like Ed Gein. But Ed Gwynn, he's a big man, nicest man you'll ever meet, and he'll be in San Antonio also.
Okay.
Yeah, MonsterCon.
MonsterCon. And of
It's a
course,
little far for you to come.
yeah. Well, you know what? I don't think I've ever been outside New Brunswick.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's time you started getting out.
Well, it's a little hard, but I got to. I know I've had a couple of interviewees in Los Angeles have told me, they say, if you're ever in Los Angeles, you have a place to stay. And I'm like,
well, that's nice. That's very nice of them. Yeah.
It is.
Oh, in Los Angeles is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've interviewed a lot of people there. Like, they're like 4 hours behind me, so it's so easy to do interviews from there because it means I can usually get pretty much all my work day in. Because I volunteer here, I work at a water plant right now where I lug those big water bottles. So.
Oh, okay.
So I do this. I do a film and a music show here, and I started doing this podcasting, doing the interviews, and man, I'm just addicted. I love doing this. This is so much fun, and people like it.
Well, good for you. It's always good to find something that you enjoy doing.
And plus, it exposes people to the province of New Brunswick here, because we're almost pretty much ignored. Probably the most famous celebrities we got closest to us are the Trailer Park Boys. Are you familiar with them?
The what is it?
The Trailer Park Boys?
No, I'm not really familiar with them.
They're from out of, I think, Halifax, Nova Scotia, and they've done 3 movies, and their TV show has gone 11 seasons. And Ivan Reitman produced their first movie.
Uh-huh. Well, nice.
Yeah, it's a comedy troupe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
I was going to ask you about 2 more people. Of course, we can't forget these 2 fellas. Alan, what's the
Alan Danziger.
Oh, Danziger, and of course the guy who played your boyfriend, William Vale, Kirk.
William Vale. Yeah. We all had a cast reunion. Gunnar was there. It was the year before he passed. At a place that was in Austin, Texas, at House Corps. And so the whole cast was there. And I have pictures that are on Pam's page of House Corps because they got a whole shot of us. We had lunch. They arranged for us all to drive out to the house for lunch because that's called the Grand Central Cafe. They moved the house to Kingsland, Texas, which is about an hour and a half outside of Boston.
You mean the house that you guys shot the Texas Chainsaw in?
Yeah, which they the guys that bought the restaurant after the original people weren't really chainsaw fans.
Oh.
And they had no idea how much business they would get because of the film, you know.
Yeah, I bet they're chainsaw fans now.
People send me, you know, the famous scene where I almost get out of the house and Gunnar grabs me.
Okay.
And that's when I deliberately lost those shoes because I was so sick of those sandals. They were so hard to run in when I had to run across that field.
Yeah.
And anyway, people love to reenact that scene, and it's a very famous meme. Everybody's always adding, you know, like it's my the meme of me in that one is, I think it's still the profile picture on Pam's page right now.
Oh.
And it says it's never too early to start hanging the Halloween decorations. But there are a million memes of it. I mean, literally, it's so funny. People send it to me and they'll say, "Have you ever seen this, Teri?" It's like, no, only 450,000 times. But it's really cute because a lot of them, in fact, I've got at the top of Pam's page, you'll see there's a family that went out there, and they got some great pictures. And he and his wife, and they went with their 2 kids also, but they did, he'll have a scene of the dinner scene, you know?
Yeah.
And then he'll have a scene of them sitting at the same place in the house. So it's like 5 or 6 pictures. You'll enjoy it. But the food's great. The house looks beautiful.
Nice.
And it's quite popular. Yeah.
I would bet.
I'm a vegetarian, basically, so I do eat a little fish, but it's kind of funny, you know. Pam would be a vegetarian, though, wouldn't she?
Yeah, she would be. Well, there's a lot of good vegetarian food out there, so I won't fault you on that.
Right. No, I'm, you know, and it's really philosophical for me, but people say, "Oh, well, you know, you need protein," and you know, it's like, duh, there's lots of ways to get protein.
How do you get your protein?
Well, nuts.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Just Google in protein foods, and, you know, you'll see there's a whole lot of them. But I, you know, I don't really preach, but I am glad. Like, I love pigs, so bacon was hard, chicken was hard. Those, you know, it's not easy. I was born and raised in Texas, so, you know, beef is a big deal in Texas.
Sure, yeah.
But there are a lot of vegetarians, you know, from Texas. And, in fact, it's very interesting to type in vegetarians because you'll find out all the famous people, Michelangelo, lots of people were vegetarians that you had no idea.
Wow, no, I had no idea, no.
Yeah, just type in famous people vegetarians, and you'll get a whole new look on life from that. So
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Tobe Hooper directed the film, went on, of course, to do Poltergeist. And, you know, I think he's most famously attached to Texas Chainsaw. And, of course, I understand that he cast you based on an article. I guess you were a foot model for a while. Is that correct?
Well, not at that time. This is when I lived in Austin. They saw my picture in the paper with Gomer Pyle's sergeant, Frank Sutton, and they'd gone to UT, they'd gone to SMU, they'd gone to the University of Houston. So they'd seen over 500 young women at that time. And so when they came to Austin, they saw my picture in the paper and they gave me a call. And at that time, doing horror was like doing softcore porn, you know. I mean, there just was no genre like there is today. So I really didn't think I would want to do this. I thought, no, chainsaws, meat hooks, what is this?
And the film was banned, I heard, in like over 25 states around the world.
Yeah, I mean, it did nothing for any of our careers. For 10 years, you couldn't even put it on your resume for a good 5-7 years. So it was, for us, it wasn't very helpful. Now, for Daniel and the technical guys, I think it was great, It worked out really well for them. But Marilyn and Bill and I, none of us put it on our resumes, It took 10 years for it to start becoming the cult horror.
And Marilyn, of course, went on to do another film for Toby as well.
Yes. Well, she and Toby dated after the film, and he had her in a couple of his films, and then she was cast in what's that film? The Manson thing.
Okay.
Where she
Helter Skelter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she was in Eaten Alive.
And he had her in Eaten Alive, exactly. So, damsel in distress.
Yeah, she played it. She had good set of lungs on her as well.
She did it bad. A pretty girl.
Yes, she was. It's sad that we have lost her. I thought she was wonderful in that film.
Yes, she was wonderful in everything she did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we miss her terribly.
And it's strange for a controversial film like that, how it's kind of celebrated. It's got all these. Did you see the remakes or the reboots?
I have seen them. In fact, they had all of us doing cameos in the 2013 3D one. So there's my Little Red Shorts in 3D.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
CinemaScope and wide Technicolor and 3-dimensional.
Yeah, and they had a lot of images from that from the original film. I had forgotten about that.
Yes, I made more money from just that one time that they used my footage than I made in the whole history of the film.
That was the one that had Alexandria Donaggio. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Hopefully I got that right.
I don't know, Dolan. I'm not the authority.
But I do remember it had clips from the original film.
Yeah, they sure did. They contacted all of us, so that was really nice for all of us. And Marilyn had a nice little cameo role in it. So I thought she was one of the best parts of the film.
Well, that would be true, yes.
Definitely.
Well, before I let you go, I'd like to know where I could go to get an autographed picture of you.
You know what? I did. I used to have a website, but then I wanted to have more control and change it around and add things, and so I love to post different interesting things. So people can find, it's an album that's on Pam's page.
Okay.
And the name of the page on Facebook, it's a business fan page kind of a thing. It's called Pam, the Original Chainsaw Gal.
Okay.
And in that, I'll go ahead and post the album again so that people can see it. But it's Pam, the Original Chainsaw Gal, and I'll post the album. It's Pam autographs and signed pictures. I have magnets for your fridge.
Oh, wow.
Well, I thought that was so appropriate. And a friend of mine, Magnet Queen, does all my magnets, and they're really cute. So I have those. And I have about 20 pictures, and I have Pam's stories. And I have all the instructions for ordering through PayPal or on the album description.
Okay.
And each, everything's numbered, so it's real simple. And so there you have it.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'll have to make myself an order. I'm really behind on ordering my autographs too because, oh yeah, I still get people from last year that I just had somebody I interviewed last year contact me about pictures I ordered, and I had to be apologetic. I was like, I know the interview was last year, but I'm kind of behind on it. My apologies because I didn't
Oh,
want
same. I know. It's so rough.
I didn't want them to think I wasn't interested, but I finally got around to making the orders.
Oh, that's funny. Well, anyway, so yeah, Pam, the original Chainsaw Gal, and so that's how people can find me. And I have a public personal page, and I'm almost up to 5,000. So it's funny. Who knew?
Well, I'll have to send you a friend's request because I would and make that connection and order a pic.
That sounds great, Greg.
That sounds like a great plan. And as I said,
anybody who's listening who have friends who are in Texas, I'm going to also be at the Weatherford Comic Con in Weatherford,
right.
Texas, which is very close to Dallas, to Big D.
Okay.
So I'll be there in October, and John and Edwin and Bill Johnson, I believe Bill Johnson and Bob Elmore are going to be in San Antonio a couple of weekends from now. So that's MonsterCon. So
okay.
Just in case, but then this is going to play afterwards, so it doesn't matter. Never mind.
Oh, don't worry about it. Still, I don't mind. But you got any charities that you're part of that you'd like to plug on here?
No, but I just always support animals, and so people that know me know that I'm constantly posting things, for animals. So that's my thing. But they can support Linda Blair, the girl from
The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm. So you can support her animal groups, but also the No Kill Coalition is a wonderful organization to support to stop the killing of animals.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what, Teri, I'm so honored to have you come on the show here and talk to me today. I mean, you're my first interview from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and in that famous meat hook scene, like I feel like I'm talking to royalty here.
Oh, I should be in that. What's that film? We Are Not Worthy. We Are Not Worthy. What was that?
Oh, Wayne's World?
Yeah, Wayne's World.
There you go.
It's funny when somebody gets really, how people are with this political thing going on, and people get nasty, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they'll like tell me off or something for one of my political views or something, and then I think they go check and find out I'm Pam, and it's like, oh, oops.
Oh, gee, yeah.
I have to laugh though, because people are so brazen behind their keyboards. They just, they've called me the nastiest names, and then they went and they found out who I was, and it was like, oh no. Because they're fans of the film.
Yeah.
So you never know.
You never know. Well, before you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Just state your name, and if you want to, you can say you're Pam from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but state your name and state that, and just say you're listening to the name of my show is Python's Paradise, Python like the snake.
Okay.
Yeah, Python's Paradise with Greg Gilbert.
Okay. Hi, this is Teri McMinn, and I'm Pam from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974, the original Chainsaw Gal. And I am with Greg Gilbert from Python's Revenge.
Python's Paradise.
Okay. You want me to do it all over again?
Sure, if you want.
Okay. This is Pam, the original Chainsaw Gal, also known as Teri McMinn from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first one, the original 1974 version. And I am with Greg Gilbert from Python's Paradise. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Teri. Thank you for the honor. And I'll send you a friend's request, and or you can send me the link, whatever you wish, and we'll be in touch and take it from there.
All right. Thanks again. All right. You take care, Greg.
God bless you, and thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.